Oh, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another arousing edition of the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn with your boy Matty B and my main man over there. He's right there. Kyle Quinn from 94 WIP on the call. Kyle, welcome once again. 4-0, buddy, but we're going to definitely talk about how it's not feeling quite like 4-0.
4-0, Matt, and nothing is wrong. Nothing to see here. They are operating at just the highest possible level. Nobody's bothered by anything, and nobody's tweeting stuff, and everything's great.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. So we'll break this thing down. You scratch the surface because there's a lot to talk about here. 31-25 Eagles with the win, but judging by the first half. Now, Kyle, you kind of bagged on me a little bit last week by saying, give the fast starts thing kind of some time to marinate. But, the Eagles got off to yet another fast start. I mean, special teams, the offense was humming. Jalen Hurts, 130 yards, the touchdown, the run in. And listen, the defense of the Buccaneers, it wasn't like the Eagles had a throw in the first half. I mean, this is the beginning of the game. So things were working really well. They built themselves that immense lead. What was it, 24-6 or something like that going into the half? Kyle, judging on that first half, how are you feeling? I mean, obviously there was nothing to see there in the first half. It was all good.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fast start is probably the reason the Eagles ended up squeaking by in this one. I mean, the block punt, you can point to any of those touchdowns they got in that first half of the game there, but it was kind of like the inverse of the Rams game where you were feeling like crap in the beginning, and then all of a sudden you're feeling great. Well, the Bucs game, you're feeling like you're on top of the world, and that kind of felt like they picked up right where they left off in the second half. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, man, like this is what the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles with all this talent should look like. And man, did they look like that for a half? They were, bumping shoulders with Baker Mayfield, getting chippy. I'm like, man, we're the bullies now. Like, we've arrived, and then everything came tumbling down for a variety of reasons, and then you leave that game feeling like, well, here we go again.
Yeah, and let's do it again, because the second half was definitely a tale of a second half. Jalen Hurts 0 for 8 in the second, did not complete a pass. I honestly don't remember that last time that happening. And the Eagles as a collective offense now, it's a little skewed because of that punt run out of the back of the end zone at the end of the game for a negative 34. But on the books, they gained a net yards of -1 in the second half. Kyle, again, as I said, they're 4-0, but you can't, as a rational Eagles fan, and let's talk bare bones. As a rational Eagles fan, this has got 2023 written all over it, or a very similar type of situation. Kyle, please just acknowledge that.
No, I mean, no, I'm not I'm not going to acknowledge that, Matt, that it's 2023 all over again, because we haven't gotten to the back half of that 2023 portion. Does the offense need to be better? Like, there's no question in my mind. But again, they're a super talented team. Still think they're a very well coached team. The defense and special teams have been carrying them, and I don't see the same issues that I saw in 2023. And I think that they're a little bit more of a together group. We can talk about the wide receiver, and I'm sure we will. But I do think a lot of that is perceived a little bit differently in the locker room than it is out here. And I don't necessarily smell the 2023 vibes just yet. Now, can we get there if things aren't going well still later on in the season and they don't sort of pick it up and get better? We can have that discussion eventually. But the Eagles were 2-2 last season, and I wasn't hearing anybody talking about they look like, I guess the offense looked a little bit like 2023 all over again, but that was a team with the worst record. And look, you also have to put in perspective that they played pretty damn good teams. They just played the 3-0 Buccaneers. They just played the Rams, who are another really good team. They just played the Chiefs, who were in the Super Bowl, and a division rival Cowboys on opening night. Like, the 2023 thing, they're barely squeaking by bad teams, like the Sam Howells of the world, the terrible Patriots with Mac Jones, to where they just got by at the end of those games against teams they should be beating up on. These are teams that should be giving them a fight, and they are giving them a fight. But the Eagles and their talent and coaching is winning the day here. So, is it a conversation we can have down the road? Sure, but I'm not ready to go there yet.
So if the season were to end today, and the divisional round of the playoffs is next week, you have utmost confidence in the Eagles to make that Super Bowl run?
Well, I mean, no, but the season doesn't end today, Matt. Like, and by the
No, it
way,
doesn't.
yeah, by the way, like, I mean, we would have a bye week right now if the season ended today because we're the only 4-0 team in the NFC.
Well, I
You
said
know,
divisional round. I didn't say wild card. I
no,
did say
I know that,
divisional.
but the Eagles would have a week off. Like, like you do have to understand that they have put themselves in position to be 4-0. And if the season ended today, there's a lot of teams out there who are sitting there saying, we have this to work on, we have that to work on. The other teams that are 3-1, or you saw the Lions and stuff. You don't think they have their own issues that they need to work out? All these other teams, the Packers just freaking tied with the Dallas Cowboys, and they were the team that everybody was saying is the best team in the NFC. So would I say I'm fully utmost confidence in the Eagles if the playoffs started today? No, but I can't really think of a fan base that would be. I mean, it's 4 weeks into the season.
And the Ravens are 1-3 as well. So yeah, I mean, everybody's working out their early season sort of issues. I get that, Kyle, but everyone, when I mention 2023 or when I listen to people bring the 2023 thing up, they always gravitate to the defense being a whole different unit. And I 100% agree with you. It's a whole different type of defense, coaching, players, the whole 9 yards. But what I saw on Sunday, especially in the second half, was a defense that had their heads down. They were tired. They were gassed. They were on that field a lot in the second half. They're not going to be able to sustain that throughout the next 13 games. And nobody ever gravitates towards what I really mean. And I guess maybe I should be more clear. It's the offense is the issue. And it was the same in 2023. It was the same in 2024 prior to them deciding to go run heavy. And now we're back to that because Saquon can't get going yet. Kyle, so that's what I kind of mean by the 2023 vibe.
I understand where you're coming from. I do. I would have to contend, though, 2023, when they were 10-1, the defense was not good. They were very poorly coached, and the offense had their issues. That was, everyone, we want to talk about the defense 2023. The offense wasn't that great either. Like, we were pulling our hair out every week with the turnovers and stuff like that. Like, they had issues on both sides of the ball. Here, the issues are really one side of the ball. And there's one aspect of this whole thing that you can at least expect to pick up a little bit. And that's I think you should expect the offensive line to start playing a little bit better as the season goes on, as they get more continuity together, and the run game should pick up. So, and they still don't really turn the football over. So, the offense doesn't have, it's not a both sides of the ball thing. It's really just one thing that, you can at least say that after a month, you almost have to give them a little bit of grace to say that they should be able to work this thing out.
And with not turning the football over, it's a very valid point. I think they only have the one turnover so far through 4 games, which is outstanding. But let's go look at the byproduct of that one turnover, a byproduct in which you yourself has said on this program. They don't let Jalen Hurts essentially take those risks and take those chances down the field. And the byproduct of that is the now starting to boil down. I know he walked it back somewhat by apologizing, by making that cryptic tweet A.J. Brown did by saying, "I love it here. I want to be here." But Kyle, don't, I'm not buying it. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. And that's, he's a diva. He's a star wide receiver. He wants to be the GOAT. He can't be the GOAT unless he gets the football. Kyle, we're in week 4. And now we're starting to talk A.J. Brown drama, whether or not he walked it back, whether or not he made amends. And you think he's a good leader or whatever for that. That's irregardless. What's regardless is the fact that his foundation is already cracking week 4.
I don't necessarily agree with that. This is an annual thing for A.J. Brown. He did this last year. 4. Well, not in week 4.
Matt,
but look, that last year was at a more maybe potentially damaging point in the season when they were actually, I mean, they were winning a ton of games. They were on like a 10-game win streak or something like that. And then he started pulling his nonsense. That was before the playoffs. I mean, things could have cracked right then and there, and then they would have been bounced like immediately. So if anything, it's better that it happens early and they can address it, get it out of the way. I mean, like, the reality of the situation is that A.J. Brown is right. He's not right to do what he did, but his point about the offense not being good and that the offense is best when he's getting the ball is 100% correct. So if that forces the Eagles to look inward and talk about it and, have those tough conversations about how they can get him the ball and how the offense get better, good. I mean, think about what happened after week 4 last year. The offensive line had to go banging on Nick Sirianni's door and tell him that we need to start running the football more. This is how we think the offense was going to look its best. And then you know what they did? They changed it and they ripped off 10 straight wins. So, like, this is around the time where you can do some self-scouting, and it might not be this week against Denver, but and then in the short week against the Giants, you should maybe look at the 11 games that are going to follow, or 11 days that are going to follow after that Giants game. And the next one, that could be a pretty good moment for this team to really hunker down and start making some changes. And I do trust the coaching staff to make those changes, and I trust the players to be able to follow through with that. So I'd almost prefer it to be now and when they're 4-0, then, look, like that's a harder conversation, and it's harder to stomach when they're losing, right? But if the team's 4-0 and they have that mentality that Sirianni's trying to hammer into them, that, look, while we're 4-0, we still have things to improve on, it's easier for them to look at those things and say, all right, like, I feel better about those conversations now, and they can be professionals about it.
I guess until he starts doing the sit-ups in the driveway, everything is okay. I guess that's kind of how we're going to go with that. But you're watching the It's a Wrap Sports Network, and you're watching the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, 94 WIP's very own Kyle Quinn. And we here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, we are all ready to go. We know the opponent. It is the defending champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. It'll start Saturday, Phillies, Dodgers, and this is the Fighting's final lineup through the at least first 3 games of the series. So we cannot wait to get things rolling here on Saturday for the Phillies. But listen, business at hand is the Eagles. Let's talk a little bit about Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield and that vaunted Eagle defense who, listen, I don't know how they did it. They were getting gashed up and down. They were on the field. It was 135 degrees. It was a rough day for them. But they found a way to create enough pressure, create turnovers. The Bucky Irving fumble, the Baker Mayfield, ill-advised pass down by the goal line. And they found a way to seal the deal. But how much do you credit the Eagle defense versus how much do you blame the Buccaneer offense? They had their own kind of problems. I got it. Mike Evans was out, but listen, Kyle, we all watched that game. A different offense wins that football game.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I think I give more credit to the defense, considering some of those circumstances that you mentioned, with our offense going 3 and out, and the defense constantly had to being put on the field, 135 whatever real degree field at that.
Yeah,
of course they're going to get
110 or something. Yeah,
right. Sure. Either way, I mean, of course they're going to get gassed. Like, you kidding me? Nobody wouldn't be if they have to be out there playing all those snaps on a hot ass field like that. So yeah, I mean, you have to give them credit for finding the one thing that they needed to do to sort of swing that game, and that was creating those turnovers. Being there at the right time, putting the pressure on Mayfield to get him to throw that ball into the end zone for Campbell to pick off, and for forcing the fumble on Bucky Irving. And really, if it wasn't for 2 misplays by 2 rookies on the defense, that those 2 70-yard touchdowns, right? Like, the defense is, we're sitting here talking about, like, holy crap, like, this defense had one of the most dominant performances that we've seen. So I think you have to give a lot of credit to the defense and Baker Mayfield. And while they didn't have Mike Evans, they got their tackle back. They got Chris Godwin back, and Emeka Egbuka is a good wide receiver. That's a good offense. I mean, it is. And, they're putting up the numbers like a good offense does. So you have to give all the credit to the Eagles defense.
Now, 2 turnovers that the Buccaneers did commit, 3 if you want to count the block punt. Yeah, I mean, I really think they should block punts and field goals recovered by the other team. I think should go down as turnovers. You can't turn a football over against anybody in the NFL, and you certainly can't do it against the Eagles. I don't know when these teams are going to start getting the memo on that, because if you look at all the Eagles wins throughout the last calendar year, turnovers are a huge part in that victory, most games. So, Kyle, with the second half being as it was, and the 0 for 8 and the negative -1 yard, and the offense kind of got not going anywhere, the Kevin Padula hate is still kind of circulating a little bit. But where do you lay the blame on the second half? What was it too conservative? Did they do what the Rams did to them the week before? What happened in that second half that stalled out the offense?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like they started to press a little bit when they felt like the momentum was swinging the other way. I mean, you saw some series and downs where they're trying to force feed the ball to guys. Like, they had 3 straight plays where they had A.J. Brown run a dig and threw the exact same ball to him. Didn't work out. I mean, it's the 3 and outs, right? Like, and the fact they're starting behind the sticks, and even the defense getting some ill-timed penalties on those 3rd down plays where they're trying to get off the field. I mean, it's entirely the offense. It's the offensive coordinator. It's Jalen Hurts. It's the receivers. It's really everybody that did not contribute offensively, and that caused a lot of issues for them in the second half.
Yeah, Brian says he's got some long comments coming. Playoff baseball is usually how low scoring. It's mostly good pitching. Phillies need to manufacture runs. Home runs are important, but they need to manufacture runs to play fundamentally sound baseball. Runners in scoring position choke up with 2 strikes. Short swings, go with the pitch and make contact. Sacrifice flies and small things. Not saying bunts, but all the above. Kyle, do you want to go outside the box a little bit? Ryan, this is an Eagles show, but you want to address this from Ryan about the Phillies?
I mean, no, I think Ryan's lost. So.
Ryan, I'll get to it later. I mean, we are doing the Eagles thing. All right, 31-25. Let's do the Birds Birds Blast stat pack. Kyle, Eagles 3 for 3 in the red zone. 11 for 11 on the season. It doesn't get any better than 100%. And if you're going to take a swipe at the offense, which we all have and are doing, you also got to take some credit about what they're doing with the ball in the red zone. You can't argue 11 for 11.
And that's a trend that they're picking up. Look, I'll say this about the red zone thing. It's great. It's probably the reason that they're 4-0. One of the big reasons that they're 4-0. That's not necessarily a number that I'm expecting to hold for the rest of the season. That kind of stuff is a little bit fluky, wonky. I shouldn't say fluky, but 100% is fluky, and that's going to regress a little bit back to the mean. So,
yeah. But it's definitely it's a huge factor of the why they're 4-0. It's one of the huge factors. I agree. Points, the Eagles just scored 24 first-half points. They now have 62 first-half points on the season for about 15.5 on the season. 7 points in the second half, 46 points for the season, 11-point second-half average. Last year, it was the first half that we were struggling to get points. Now we're reverting to the second half. It's got to balance out, Kyle. There's got to be more. Again, the flukiness, the special teams, the defense. Is it so much to ask for a clean offensive football game from this team?
Well, no, of course not. I mean, it really just boils down to, are you playing your best football for 60 minutes? Are you playing better than the other team for 60 minutes? Like, I know you like to, I don't get too bogged down in the first half, second half points. Like, that's going to be dictated by how the game's going, right? If they're up a lot in the first quarter, then, typically, not on Sunday, but typically you're able to run the football, run some clock. You're not putting up that many points, and you're just chewing up time and getting out of there. So, a lot of that's going to be circumstantial.
They did commit 8 penalties for 83 yards on Sunday. That's a trend that's going out of control. 28 penalties now on the season for 7 a game and 191 yards for close to 50 yards a game. Kyle, we got to get that under control. And it's the penalties, the type of penalties that I'm starting to get a little concerned about. I know they're ticky-tack these days with the taunting and all that, but what did we get flagged for? 3 personal foul penalties on Sunday? I mean, that's got to go down.
Yeah, the taunting stuff's ridiculous. And, I mean, that's something that they're going to have a big chat about. The only problem is it's hard when the message is coming from a guy who's barking at the quarterback of the other team on the sideline. So that stuff, that stuff I don't necessarily, I don't know how much I buy. That's all of a sudden just going to be better. Taunting stuff is out of control. I mean, I don't like it, but that's the way they're calling things. And look like some of the other stuff is just, poorly timed and committed by some young players, I think, that just need to be a little bit better, and they will in that regard, I think, as the season goes on.
Do you think the absence of Brandon Graham, the absence of Fletcher Cox, the absence of those types of players along that defensive line, the veteran guys, is kind of where we're at with these penalties? Do you think it's kind of at that point because of that?
I'm not sure. Could they have used another veteran presence in the locker room on defense? Yeah, maybe. I do think they have solid leadership, though, from Zach Bond to Jordan Davis. And, Zadarius Smith's only been here for a cup of coffee, but he's a guy that I know that they brought in to add a little bit more of that veteran experience on the line. So I don't know if it's necessarily they're missing Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox and stuff. I just I don't really know how to explain it, but, those guys aren't coming back. So what are you going to do?
Someone's got to step in. I agree. The Eagles did let Jalen Hurts get sacked twice for 18 more yards, 9 now in the season. The Eagles are averaging over 2 sacks a game, allowing 2 sacks a game, 57 yards for 14 a game. They did get to Baker Mayfield 2 times on Sunday, now up to 5. They're still less than 1 sack a game from the defense. And on 4th downs, the Eagles 0 for 1, 5 for 7 now on the year for 1.4% effective rate. Talk about the sacks real quick. Jalen's getting hit a lot, either through sacks or just hit in general. 9 sacks through 4 games is not an encouraging number. It's not a dreadful number. And you mentioned the offensive line should hopefully rebound. Lane Johnson left the game at one point again last week. I don't know what's going on with Lander Dickerson, and honestly, Cam Jurgens is not having a great. Jordan Mailata's play has not been that good. What's going on with Stoutland? Is there some sort of boycott going on? Why are we struggling so hard on the offense line?
I just think the interior line hasn't played well. I mean, specifically Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, like you just mentioned. I think Dickerson's hurt. And the thing with Cam is, he had a good season last year, but still a young player. We don't really entirely know what he is in the NFL. They're not using him like they use Jason Kelce late in his career right now. So I don't really know how to explain that. That's something that, with guys going in and out and Landon being hurt, that I guess you sort of just expect with Jeff Stoutland that those things will be ironed out over time. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like they've been a little bit of an issue, that interior part of the line for the Eagles first 4 games here.
But that all equals to a 31-25 Eagle win. And that's what the important thing is. Kyle, you had the Eagles in this game 27-23. I took the Buccaneers 28-10. Eagles obviously won the football game. We are now both 2-2 on this season. You had Jalen Hurts as your MVP, and I had Baker Mayfield. You were trending in the right way with the first half of Jalen Hurts. It just fell apart in the second half. If the Buccaneers would have accomplished a comeback, I probably would have gotten Baker, but that didn't happen. So, Kyle, who is your MVP today or in this game?
Man, it's tough. I'm trying to think of some. Probably Quinn Mitchell for how he locked down those Buccaneers wide receivers. Every time they targeted him, he was a no-fly zone, dude. Like I can't even count how many passes he broke up and how great he was in this game. Cooper DeJean had a good game too, especially tackling wise. But I think might have been the best game I've seen Quinn Mitchell play as an Eagle. So if you want to give it to somebody, you probably have to go defense. I'll give it to Quinn.
Listen, Quinn's running a little bit of a dangerous line, though. I mean, he's a grabbing machine out there, and I know he's doing just enough not to get flagged, but eventually someone's going to get tired of that. And he's a very good defensive back, but there was a lot of jersey pulling going on in that game for the Eagles, and not just Quinn, but the entire defense. So a lot of Tampa Bay Buccaneer jersey threads all over the field, and he had a good game. Once again, he was one of the better.
No, he had a great game.
Cornerbacks on the team.
I mean, he's a physical corner. He's been like that last year. He's going to be like that this year. I mean, him and receivers when receivers are running routes on him, everyone's handsy, right? The best corners do toe that line, however, of being physical and not getting flagged for it. So that's a trend that I think is actually going in a positive direction.
Ryan says, okay, Eagles talk. Outside of the 2 Super Bowl games, always only show fun, explosive football in pressure situations. When down by a lot, forced to make a comeback, Rams game, or we'll do it in one quarter and turn it and get it and conserve. Well, listen, that's football teams in general, Ryan. I mean, when the defense plays back and tries to chew clock, you're going to have a lot more passing lanes and opportunities to score points and put yards up. That's dictated by the defense, Kyle. It's a big enigma why this Eagle offense cannot get it straight. So I don't know where you come out on that with what Ryan said.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the whole thing about doing what the defense shows you and stuff, but the Eagles are good enough and have enough talent so that they should be dictating the play. They shouldn't wait to see what the defense shows them. Go take it. Now, AJ Brown said something similar a week ago before he had his annual social media crash out. That they have enough talent. They have killers on this team to where they should be deciding what goes on out there. Not the defense is letting them or showing them what to do.
I agree. The constant 5 to 10 yard throw. That's why he's only throwing for 100 to 150 yards per game. Ryan, you know my theory on that. And it's a largely supported theory that the Eagles just don't let him take the chances with the deep ball. And with the 2 wide receivers that we have and the tight end when he's healthy, it's an enigma why they don't let him take the chances. Kyle, and you did say that you would accept a 35-yard interception downfield. I mean, it's like a punt anyway. So I agree with you, Kyle. Let him throw the ball. If they don't let him throw the ball downfield, AJ Brown's his head's going to explode by the bye week.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like throwing the ball down the field shouldn't necessarily automatically mean you're going to turn it over, right? Like the best quarterbacks can throw the football down the field without turning the ball over. That's just sort of like if God forbid they do turn it over, then they have a good enough defense to where that shouldn't really be an issue. Unless you're throwing 4 picks in a game, then that's going to be tough to overcome. But I would like to see them take more chances. Yep.
All right, let's turn the page because we're moving on to the AFC West and the Denver Broncos. And before we start, complete transparency, I am not going to not going to lie. I really don't know much about the Broncos aside Bo Nix and Sean Payton and Pat Surtain. I mean, I know they're a young, scrappy, up-and-coming team, 2-2 right now on the season, best defense in the NFL. They lead the league in sacks and also in pressures. Yeah, they're an opportunistic bunch, and this has an opportunity for them sort of ring the bell and say, hey, NFL, look at us. We're here. We're going to Philadelphia, and we're going to knock off the defending Super Bowl champions. So it should be an entertaining game down there in South Philly. The Eagles are going to go with their midnight green tops and their white bottoms. The Broncos with their all whites. It's going to be 83 degrees and balmy down in South Philadelphia on Sunday. And the injury report, nothing new. I mean, there's some interesting tidbits. Let's get into the Nakobe Dean thing. His practice window has been opened up. Kyle Quinn, Nakobe Dean could return potentially this week. Last I saw, the Eagles only had 52 roster spots taken. They holding out for Nakobe to come back. If Nakobe Dean comes back, Kyle, either this week or next week or whatever, what kind of impact do you think he's going to have week one?
Yeah, I'm tempering my expectations on Nakobe Dean. I mean, he had a pretty bad knee injury where you don't just come back from that and you're as explosive as you once were. The Eagles linebackers are playing pretty well right now. I mean, like John Campbell and Zach Bond are both having really good seasons. Now, having Nakobe Dean on the field, if he is a good enough, if he looks at least like he did last season, then that allows him to have a little bit more creativity. Zach Bond's been a great blitzer. They can have him rush the passer a little bit more. They can even have John Campbell rush the passer a little bit. So it does give him a little more options with Nakobe Dean back out there. But at least for him specifically, I'm going to keep my expectations lower at this point.
Dallas Goedert did not participate in practice yesterday because of that knee. Limited yesterday was Carter with the shoulder, Nakobe Dean again with the knee coming back. Dory Jackson still nursing the groin, and Lane Johnson with that shoulder problem. But that's really all that I'm tracking on the Eagles side. For the Broncos, a pretty clean report. They only had Nate Atkins not practicing on Wednesday because of the concussion. Jonas Ellis, his thumb. Marvin Mims, his hip and ankle were both limited. An outside linebacker, Nick Bontio, with the wrist, and former Eagles inside linebacker starter on the Broncos, Alex Singleton, his thumb, but he was a full participant in practice. So a pretty clean injury report for the Broncos. No real new stuff to talk about with the Eagles. So, Kyle, we're going to get it rolling here on 1 o'clock on Sunday at the again. Almost said the vet. What do you think it's going to happen down there in South Philly?
So I'm kind of with you on. I don't know how to get a read on the Broncos. Mostly because I can't get a read on Bo Nix this season. He's been a little erratic, a little inconsistent. I just think the Eagles are a more experienced, a better team, and they're at home. There's a few matchup things that I have my concerns about, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I do think I do think this should be a game where the Eagles win. I don't know about comfortably, but this should be one that they I don't think they're going to get too much of a hard time from Denver in this one.
Yeah, listen, again, I think the biggest thing for the Eagles to kind of avoid here, and this is an interesting I know the schedule sort of lightens up now. We've made it through September. We got through the extended preseason with games that counted, and with 4-0, you can't really shake a stick at that. But Broncos on Sunday, and the bigger story here is the Giants on Thursday. It's a really, a divisional game and a very short turnaround, and you got the Jackson Dart thing going on down there in New York, whatever, but I'm not going to say this is a trap game. I think the Giants game is a trap game, but I don't think this is a trap game. But I do have that thing that, Sean Payton's been around. He knows what he's doing, and he's probably knows how to amp up his team. And, coming into Philadelphia and knocking off the champs, that's going to ring a bell to the NFL that the Broncos are for real, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, it would. And it's a game that I think we should expect the Eagles to win. And I think I'd be a little bit more on the surprise side if they didn't. But you're right. I mean, that would be quite the statement from Denver. They were able to do it.
It would be. And Kyle, give me 3 matchups you're looking at closely on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, so the Eagles interior line, who's been struggling, versus that Denver defensive line. I mean, like you said, they have the most sacks in the NFL. They're maybe one of the best defensive lines so far through this season in football. So that's going to be big. I mean, both for protecting Jalen Hurts and, seeing if they can get Saquon Barkley going. The other one is going to be Patrick Surtain versus either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith had a pretty good day against him the last time they met up with Denver, but Pat Surtain's been really, really good. We'll see if the Eagles try to force A.J. Brown the ball or if he's winning his matchups against Pat Surtain, who they line him up against, but that's going to be one that I watched too. And then the other one is the Eagles' red zone offense versus Denver's red zone defense. Kind of a battle of unstoppable force versus an immovable object. They've had a pretty good red zone defense down there. So if the Eagles can keep up at least close to that 100% there, then that's going to be a big X factor in this game too.
Yeah, I'm looking at Bo Nix versus Vic Fangio, or Vic Fangio versus Bo Nix. It's interchangeable. I think the young quarterback may be expecting certain things, and I think Vic Fangio needs to send a certain message to him right off the bat. Pressure's not been the Eagles' strong suit so far in 2025. They got to find a way to get pressure on him because they can't let him sit back there. He's younger, he's mobile. I just got to get some pressure on him. Kevin Padula versus the Eagle faithful Kyle Quinn. I'm concerned that the poor beleaguered offensive coordinator is going to get it on Sunday, especially if it turns as the fans are going. Again, they've already tried, convicted them, and now they want to sentence them. So, I need them a consistent game plan. Get the fans off his back and let the man do his job, man. And then my number one matchup is as you mentioned, Pat Surtain versus either AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. Does Pat Surtain match up with Brown and frustrate him even more? Do they not even throw the ball his way because of that? That's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. It's kind of like the inflection point the season so far where things could turn around for the better or they could go poorly and things could sort of they could build up to where it's untenable. And look, you said it. If Pat Surtain's blanking and AJ Brown, it's going to be tough for them to force feed him the football. And do sort of what he's been begging them to do for a few weeks now. So that's probably the one I'm watching the most.
All right, give me your 3 keys to Eagles victory, Kyle Quinn.
Yeah, so I'll start with the red zone thing. The Eagles need to be better than Denver in the red zone. They need to cash in with touchdowns on those and not let Denver hang around in the game and kick field goals. The other one I'll mention is get Bo Nix off his spot a little bit. Like I said, he's been inconsistent this season. If the Eagles can get creative like they did against Tampa and against the Rams to send Zach Bond or Jahad Campbell and get creative with those blitzes and rattle Bo Nix a little bit, he'll cough the ball up to you. And that'll be a good avenue for the Eagles to win the turnover battle there. And then the third one is, this is not opponent specific, but can we get 4 quarters of football from the Eagles? This would be the same key to victory against any team this year. I need to see them do that for once this season so far. I think everybody would feel a lot better about this team if they were able to put together 4 quarters of good quality football.
Yeah. My 3 keys to the Eagles victory. My third key, run, Saquon, friggin' run. Good, man. Get going, man. We need a big one. He needs a big one. The world's got to get set right again. So I need Saquon over 100, 2 touchdowns, 85 passing, and another receiving touchdown. So I need Saquon to have himself a game because I think, honestly, that is the missing ingredient. And until it's proven otherwise, I'm going to go with that. Yeah. And I already mentioned a couple of times, do not underestimate the Broncos. You can't go into this game thinking that, okay, well, they traveled across the country. Nah, the hell with all that. They're gonna play this game like it's their Super Bowl because they know what's at stake here. It's bragging rights. It's hey, we're here and we want to be reckoned with. And then Bo Nix, as you mentioned, get him off his spot. He needs to feel pain. So there's my 3 keys of victory.
Yeah, look, and the Saquon one, just like the 4 quarters, would make a lot of Eagles fans feel better, right? That's been their life preserver last year when the passing offense wasn't going well, and maybe it can help them if they need to bring this thing along slowly. Then he'd be big in helping them to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And Kyle, what is your prediction score and your game MVP?
So I'm going to go Eagles win 27-17. I think the defense has a good day against Bo Nix. And I will go, since I believe Pat Surtain is going to end up covering AJ Brown. AJ is not going to get the ball that he wants, but he's going to get a better passing offense. And Devontae Smith's going to have a big day. So how about my boy Devontae?
All right. I'm going Eagles too, 31-25, and A.J. Brown will have that big day because they're going to overcompensate like they do all the time, and he's going to get like 30 targets, and he's going to pull in at least a few of those for some big plays. So give me Eagles 31-25, and A.J. Brown is my MVP.
All right. I feel good. 31 points against that Broncos defense, so that would be pretty good.
I didn't think the Eagles were going to score that many against the Buccaneer defense. So I gave them 10 points last week. So I'm going the other side. I'm going 31. But all right. Question of the week time. This is the time of the show where I put myself into a hermetically sealed chamber for a couple days to come out with the best question I could possibly do, and sort of give Kyle, with the AJ Brown tweeting, just tweeting in general, maybe not AJ Brown, but the social media phenomenon that you younger folk are into. I don't see the reasoning. If you're having a bad day, if you don't like something that's happened to you, why do you putting it out for everybody to see it? Why are you putting it out for everyone to read it? Just deal with it inside like my generation does. We don't have to write and tell everybody everything. Now, again, it's everyone's generations and all that, but I never understood that, Kyle. Can you shed some light on why people, let's face it, of your generation, take to social media with their thoughts and vents and frustrations like it's really going to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that vents all my frustrations on social media. Like, I just use it for fun and looking stuff up. So I can't get into the mind of somebody who does that. But I think what it does do, at least for him, or what he thinks it's doing, is force the Eagles to talk about it, force them to communicate. Like, he puts it out there as though, I mean, look, like, it sounded like what he wrote was that he's not being listened to. Well, guess what? He's being listened to now, for better or for worse.
Everybody.
So, yep. So, I mean, I can't tell you exactly why he did it, but that seems like, it seems at least that's what's going to come of it, and hopefully something good comes of it.
All right, I'll never understand why that's a thing, but again, it's a generational thing. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I just just leave it to keep it to yourself. And again, if you have a problem with somebody, and the Eagles, or maybe go talk to them. But you're right, maybe he did, and maybe he's getting stonewalled, and this was the next step to call him out. Now I know bosses and jobs and managers don't like that when you call them out publicly, but. Maybe this will do some good. But all right, Kyle Quinn, listen, man, thank you once again for sharing a few minutes today, 38 with me. We'll be back. By the way, I'll be back at base camp. If you've not noticed, I am not at base camp. I am on the road. I am in Alabama today. I drove 16 hours through the night, through the day yesterday, so I can be down here at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, for some work-related stuff. But I'll be back at base camp next week. So, Kyle, here's the Eagles win. Thank you once again for joining me. And go Birds.
Go Birds, buddy. Go Phils too, Matt.
Oh, yeah. Where can we find you, Kyle Quinn? I'm sorry.
Oh, of course, 94.1 on the Midday Show with Joe and Hugh 10 to 2 every Monday through Friday, and then on Twitter at _Kyle_Quinn.
All right, brother. We'll talk next week.
Hi, buddy. See you.
All right. Kyle Quinn. Thank you for joining me once again, and thank you guys for chiming in. And let's listen, Ryan. I'm not ignoring you. I want to address some of this stuff here. And let's talk Phillies. Yes. Real quick about your comment about low scoring games in the playoffs and not trying to, hit home runs and homer your way to a championship. Yeah, 100% agree with you there. I'm concerned with this matchup with the Dodgers because the Dodgers are taking some wood to the shed in this series. There's going to be some major offense on the side of the Dodgers. Now, can the Phillies combat their offense without trying to think they got to win the game in the third inning? And that's going to be a big chess game psychologically between the Phillies and Dodgers. But there's going to be a lot of offense in this game. But you're right. You don't have to swing for the fences. You got to do the small things right to win championships. 100% agree, especially when you're hinging on every single pitch, 100%. The Phillies have been knocked out the last 4 years because they can't manufacture runs. They can't get runners in scoring position. No, they can get them there. Oh, they can get them there. They just can't get them in. They overswing and they try to do too much. Playoff baseball, usually good pitching versus good hitting. Absolutely. And we're going to see it. We're definitely going to see it starting here in a couple of days. What's going on here? So I agree with you there, Ryan. August 28th game versus the Tigers when they came back. Good Lord. I love it. Yeah. Listen, all these points are valid, and it's going to be a great series. I can't wait for Phillies Dodgers on Saturday. We got you covered here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, as I mentioned. If you missed it, here is our Fight's final lineup for that series. You're going to get two of us per show. I will not be on until Game 3, but you got Al and Pat on Game 1. You got Al and Mike on 2, and then me and Al on Game 3. So make sure you're tuned in, and make sure you're tuned in to everything on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. This is our schedule for the rest of the week. There will be no final word with me tonight. Not going to be able to do that. So you got the Gridiron Weekly, the Attacking Third, all coming up later on this evening. I know we're a little early today, but this show is that type of show. So let's get into the final segment of the Birds Blast, and this is my pick'em segment where I reveal how I did in my picks this week or last week. 7-9, god awful. I was terrible last week. 7-9, now 37 or 39 and 23 for the season. So that was absolutely dreadful. Worst week of the season so far. My picks so far for this week, again, I'm going Eagles over the Broncos. Tonight, give me the 49ers over the Rams. Then give me the Vikings over the Browns. Give me the Raiders over the Colts. Give me the Colts over the Raiders. Give me the Giants over those Saints. Jackson Dart coming. Give me Dallas or the Jets over Dallas. Carolina over Miami. Baltimore gets back on track with a win over Houston. Arizona will beat the hapless Titans. Tampa will bounce back against Seattle. By the way, they're both wearing throwbacks this week. Yeah, they're both wearing throwbacks, which is really cool. Detroit will beat Cincinnati. And then you got Washington will beat the Chargers. Sunday Night Football, New England versus Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. And then on the Monday night game, have they played any games other than Monday Night Football, the Chiefs? I know they played the Eagles late on Sunday, but did they not play at 1 o'clock anymore? Chiefs, Jags, give me that Chiefs, and there you got my picks for the week. And then you got the Birds Blast. You got all that stuff done. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Again, I am coming to you from the Central Time Zone in Birmingham, Alabama. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will be back. You won't see me behind the mic until Tuesday. Yeah, that's when I'll be back, Tuesday. Woo! So you get a break from me, but I can't wait to come back and catch you up on all the greatness that is Philadelphia sports and everything that we have going on here on the network. So please make sure you're tuning in for all that stuff. So until we talk again, folks, I want to wish you a pleasant rest of your day and a great weekend. See you next week.